Welcome back to Retro Gamer Gen X's Retro Gaming and Computing channel. And today, guys, I got a good one for you. So I have this Atari 600XL here, and this is my Atari 600XL. It's got the 64K mod already in it. Everything's good to go. It's working. I was working on the XEGS, swapping chips in and out, and unfortunately my 600XL stopped working as well. It just has a kind of like this black screen sometimes it's like a reddish brownish screen sometimes, but that's all it will do. Essentially I swapped over the Sally chip, which is the CPU. I switched over the PIA chip. I did the two memory chips and it was working just fine, no problem. Then I did some of the little LS chips, 74 LS chips that are on there. There's two of them, I believe. One's like a memory decoder and one is for buffering the signals going to the memory for like RAS and CAS and things like that. Once I put those chips in, it stopped working. So I thought, well, that's what's wrong with the XGX. So I took those chips back out, put the ones that were in the 600XL back in, and yeah, nothing turned on. Still did the same thing. So I am really starting to think that it isn't a bad chip or anything like that. But we're going to take a look into this. So we're going to do some diagnostics. I know my XEGS, I didn't show you guys me working on that. And I do apologize. It was just, I was working, my regular job and trying to get that done. And I've been doing the research on the Apple video and trying to do some producing on that. So it's just been really busy, guys. That's why I haven't put out too many videos lately. I've just been super busy lately. But I just wanted to kind of show you guys how to do some simple diagnostics on a computer, one of these old school 8-bit computers. Basically, we'll check for voltages, we'll check for clock, we'll check address and data lines. And then I'm really starting to think that it's just a dodgy socket that's causing the issue. But we're going to try to find the socket because unfortunately when I put all these chips in, I didn't do them one at a time. I did them all at once, so I don't know which one it is. So I learned my lesson. Don't put a whole bunch of chips in at once and think it's going to work. So, because honestly, I don't know which one has the dodgy socket at this point. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and start testing things out. I'll just show you guys some simple diagnostics, how to get voltages, how to check for ground, how to check for clock signal, how to check the address and data lines and make sure they're working. And we'll also check like RAS and CAS going to the memory, and the 600XL has some discrete LS logic in it for like the memory timing and for CAS and RAS signals and things like that. But anyway, we'll check all that out. We'll check out the signals. I'll try to show you this. I'm going to get everything set up here, and I'll kind of just show you what it's doing first when we first boot it up, and then we'll go ahead and get the camera over here on the workbench. We'll start probing a few things here and see what's going on. Now, this will be the first time you guys actually see my oscilloscope here at work. Because usually most of the stuff I can diagnose without having to use an oscilloscope. But this one here is going to be a little bit tricky to find out which chip it is that's kind of messing up. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and get this repair started. All right, guys, so we got the Atari 600XL on the bench here. We got hooked up to power and to RF, going over to the capture card I got here. That's going to the upper right-hand corner. As you guys can see, I have the oscilloscope hooked up as well. First time I've ever used the oscilloscope on the channel, but it's there as well, as you guys can see. So let's go ahead and turn this thing on real quick and just show you kind of what it's doing here. So as we turn it on, we are just getting a black screen. So yeah, nothing's booting at all. Sometimes I get like a brown reddish screen as well. It just kind of depends. Let me turn it on and off again, just kind of see. But yeah, that's kind of it's got a little video signal going through it. Maybe that's more of the brown screen. I can see like some waves going through it or something. So what that's doing, guys, is telling me that Antic and GT are trying to work. It sounds like the processor's actually kicking on and doing what it's supposed to do, but something is halting the system. And I'm just thinking it's probably just a dodgy socket. So let's go ahead and get this thing powered off. Go ahead and take all this stuff off for right now. Go ahead and take the top off here. And here we go. So this is the inside of the 600XL, guys, and as you guys can see, it has the 64K mod with these two wires. It's got the two memory chips in here. So what we're going to do first, let me grab my multimeter here, and we're just going to test voltages going into the machine here. Put that right here. Go ahead and plug this bad boy back in, and I'm going to hook video back up to it too, just so we got it. There we go. And let's go ahead and turn it on, see if we get any kind of signal. And no, it's basically the same kind of crap that's going on here. So now with that being said, let me flip this. I got like a little cover over my oscilloscope here so that you guys don't get all that glare. Hopefully you guys can see that. But what we're going to work with first is the multimeter here, or I call it a multimeter, multimeter, whatever you guys want to call it. So we're just going to check for voltages and ground on these chips to make sure they're all grounded and all getting voltages. So I'm just going to connect this to ground here, and then we're going to check for voltage. So it looks like ground is going to be pin 3 on the GTA. This is the GTA chip. And we got good ground there. And then pin 27. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, should be my voltage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we got 4.95 volts, so it's got the 5 volts going to it, so that's fine. So let's go ahead and continue on here. So the next chip we have is the Antic chip. So we'll check that one next. That's going to be the Antic chip right here, guys. Alright, it looks like ground is going to be pin 1. So we'll check ground first, which looks good. And voltage is pin 21. So we got the 4.94 volts, which is basically 5 volts going to that one too. So now we'll check the CPU, which is the Sally chip. On this one, it looks like pin 8 is going to be our voltage, so we'll check that first since we're on voltage. 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that looks good, no problem there. And then pin 1 is going to be ground on this one as well. So that looks good too. Alright, so the next chip we got here is the PIA chip. We're going to check pin 20 is power, so it should have the 5 volts there. And then continuity on ground should be pin 1. And yeah, that looks good too. So let's go on to the next chip, which is going to be the Pokey chip up here, which I highly doubt the Pokey chip would cause the system to crash. But you never know. It looks like pin 1 is ground, which it is. And then pin, which one is it? Pin 17 is going to be voltage. 1, 2, 3, so 20, 19, 18, 17. And yeah, we got 5 volts on that bad boy as well, so that's looking good. So next we'll go ahead and check the system ROMs. So the basic ROM and the OS ROM, and then we'll start testing just voltages on the memory and all the discrete memory logic over here. Go ahead and check for ground first on these. So it looks like the ground should be pin 10, which I'm assuming is this one. Now this is a little weird the way they got these pins numbered, because obviously this is more than 10, but it's just the way the schematic is, because it's going off the small chip here. So both have ground, that's looking good. But while I'm at it, let's just go ahead and test the MMU, make sure it's got ground. And it does. And we'll check, what else? We'll check this other chip, because this is on the same side as the schematics, and it's got ground too. Let's go ahead and check voltages, 22 and 28. So I'm assuming probably like right here. Yep, so we got 5 volts going there. And 5 volts going there. MMU. 5 volts going there. And 5 volts going to the memory. This is the memory decoder. This is the MMU. This is your RAM. This is your actual system memory.
So that's all looking good too. It's all got voltages going to it. So honestly, guys, not seeing anything wrong there. Looks like most of it's getting voltages. Now all this discrete logic, we're just gonna try to figure this out real quick. These are probably all the ground pins. Yep, that looks good. Looks like they all got ground. Let's test for voltages. Probably pin 1's voltage. Maybe not. Maybe it's... Yep, there we go. There we go. You know the memory's got voltage. We already checked that. All these LS chips. And they all got voltages going to them as well, guys. So looks like we're good to go there as far as all the chips getting voltages. Now all these other chips that you're seeing on here really are I mean, they're important to the system, but they're not going to cause the system to crash. These are just hex buffers basically going in between the joysticks and all that kind of stuff. Then we have over here, it has to deal with like the, it's another buffer basically for the video signal and things like that. So basically, none of the other stuff in here I'm not going to worry about. I mean, we could test them though. Why not, right? Let's see. 5 volts. 5 volts. 5 volts. And 5 volts. So, looks like all that's good. So, yeah. Alright. So, yeah. Probably not too good there, guys. I was hoping that maybe we would find a chip without any voltages, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So now we're going to go ahead and break out the old oscilloscope here. I'm going to go ahead and shut this off. Let's see if any of these chips are like burning hot. Only one that's really, probably the hottest chip on an Atari is going to be your MMU, because it really does pretty much everything on the system as far as telling the system what to do, and so there's a lot of information and voltages and other things being passed through that. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and do a few other things here. So first thing we're going to do is we need to check, if you guys can see in the upper left-hand corner now, I took the screen away, and now I have the instructions on what we're doing here. This is a really cool book that I found. It's called Sam's Atari 600XL Maintenance Guide or something like that. It's Sam's book. Really cool. It's got some really useful information. And really, the 800XL and the 600XL are kind of analogous. The ICs are labeled different, and the memory configuration is a little bit different, but for the most part, they work pretty much the same. So let's go ahead and do a few of these tests here. So the first thing it says is to check pin 8 on the CPU on startup. Should start low. Let's see what it says. Pin 8 of IC19, which is actually this one. It's not IC19, it's U10 on this, but it's a Sally chip. That should be read logically low momentarily, then go logically high and stay high once the computer is turned on. So let's see if it does that. 6, 7, 8, 9, 8 right here. Alright guys, so the first pin we're going to check here is pin number 8 on the CPU. As you guys can see in the instructions, it says that it should start low and then go high and continue to be high when the computer is turned on. So let's go ahead and check that. So it's low now. It goes high. Computer's on and it's staying high. So that is good. Alright, so now we want to check pin 11 of IC18, which in this case is going to be U7 on this one. And pin 11 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And what we're checking on that to see if we have a waveform at 1.799 megahertz, which if the clock is missing, refer to clock dividers, troubleshooting. Okay, so let's check to see if we got a clock signal on pin 11. So this is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we have no clock. Let me make sure here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, that's just going high, guys. That's not good.
So I thought that pin 11 needed a clock signal. However, the schematics show that this chip, a 74LS08, is connected differently on the 800XL. On the Atari 600XL, the clock signal we're looking for is on pin 6. Although I didn't show it in the video, I scoped out pin 6, and it had the wave that we were looking for.
So I bet you we found the bad socket on this chip here. Let me go ahead and mess around with this a little bit, guys. I'm going to go ahead and pull this chip out. Little chip puller thing here, bear with me. You have that off. Yeah, always make sure you got your equipment off, guys, before you start taking chips out. That would be good. Go ahead and reseat this bad boy. Now I've already sprayed all these sockets out with de-oxited and all the good stuff, so we'll see here. Alright, let's switch over screens here, see if this thing turns on now, just reseating that. There it goes, guys. So there's the issue. That's the dodgy socket. So let's go ahead and turn it off. Let's go ahead and take this chip back out. Just take a look at the socket, see what might be going on with it, because it is awfully loose. Look, I can pull this chip out with my fingers, guys. So as you guys can see here, we have the socket that is bad, and if you look at it, it's just those single wipe sockets that were really cheap, pretty notorious in the 80s. If you use them a lot, they break. And it looks like this pin right here has either got a broken wipe or something's not right in there. As you guys can see, it just does not look like the rest of them. Even the ground one is not looking good either. And in fact, off camera, when I was testing these chips, unfortunately, I'm sorry guys, I didn't record the whole thing, but this ground was actually floating on the oscilloscope. So it was going kind of like weird and going up and down on the oscilloscope. It did have ground, but it didn't have a good ground. And in this pin here, if I believe, let me check the schematic real quick. I got this huge schematic layout here on the side. Yep, and that is actually the signal that goes from these two pins here, go here, and go to this chip here. And then this ends up going, it gets mixed in with the delay. This is the line delay as well. And this all goes to the CAS and RAS, which is the row address strobe and the column address strobe for the memory. So if you're not getting a good CAS or RAS signal coming out of these chips and going to your memory, your system's not going to boot. And that's pretty much what it is there, guys. So let me go ahead and we're going to go ahead and order some sockets. We're going to replace all these sockets here. Now, unfortunately, that's going to take a little while to get here, guys. You know how it is when you order parts. Unfortunately, there's no Radio Shacks, and where I live in BFE, Colorado, there is absolutely no kind of electronic shops. So we're going to go ahead and order probably from Jamco or Mauser or something like that. I'll probably go with Jamco because I got some discount codes from them. So I'll go ahead and go with them. But in a couple more weeks, whenever I get these parts in, guys, I'll go ahead and do this, and I'll show you how it actually works. But let's go ahead and put this chip back in again. I'm just curious. How that goes in so easy. Yeah, I should have known that right off the bat that socket was bad because of how easy that thing is. So let's go ahead and get this, see if it'll boot. And yeah, now it's booting again. That's too funny, guys. So it looks like that socket does halfway work, but halfway doesn't work. So yeah, we're definitely, basically all the chips that I took out, so these RAM chips, the MMU, the memory decoder, this buffer chip, I forgot what that is. It's an AND, I think this is an AND gate. I believe it's an AND gate. But it uses the buffer, the signal, the clock signal to go to the delay line and all that stuff, and it creates that, like I said, the CAS and RAS. So yeah, anyway, so let's see, what else do I need? So memory, MMU, memory decoder, this LS chip, the Sally chip, and the PIA chip are all the ones that I basically took out of the sockets and put the ones from the XEGS in to check them and test them. They all came up pretty much good. So yeah, so that's basically how you kind of diagnose things, guys. Biggest thing is just to check for voltages and to check for your grounds, then check for your clock signals, which we did. And right in the middle of us checking for clock going to the memories, that's when we found out that that chip there wasn't working correctly. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. Once I get the parts in, I'll go ahead and shoot a video of me basically desoldering these sockets and re-putting everything back together and having a good functioning system, because right now I bet you if I just were to turn this thing off and then put it down on the table, that would probably come loose and not work again. So definitely going to have to put some new sockets in. But I also wanted to thank all my subscribers and all my viewers for watching my videos. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that like and that notification bell. That way you get notifications every time I drop new content like this. Also, guys, go ahead and hit that super thanks down below if you want to help support the channel. Any support that I get goes directly back into this channel, either buying equipment or chips or game systems, flash cartridges, whatever. It all goes back into the channel so I can basically show you guys how all this stuff works and all the retro goodness that's about it. Well, I'm going to get out of here, guys. You have a great one. Peace out, y'all.
Game over, man. It's game over.